Hey, welcome back to the Too Fast channel. In today's tabletop review, we are going to talk about the Milwaukee 27-in-1 bit driver, screwdriver, and we're going to talk about how to make it better. So I don't do a lot of tool videos and I don't have a script for this video, so I'm just going to kind of spitball my thoughts out about why I bought this and how I made it a better bit driver. I've spent, so some background. I got quite a large assortment of different types of tools, and on the table here we've got a couple of snap-on bit drivers and that are ratcheting bit drivers, and I also have this snap-on one, which is also a bit driver, but it's not ratcheting. These I bought probably mid-90s. Give or take. So I've been using these snap-ons for quite a while. And recently, because of a career change, I've had a need for different types of tools. So I've been upgrading my toolbox, so to speak. And I started looking at bit drivers because the snap-ons are not cutting it for my purposes now. And I thought about, okay, well, maybe I can modify these snap-ons to fit my needs. And they're just, these were designed, I don't know, in the 90s sometimes. So, I mean, the technology is dated. But don't get me wrong, snap-ons are good things, are good quality products. And, back in the day when you worked in a shop and the snap-on truck would roll in and you'd walk into the truck and you're overwhelmed with all this coolness inside the truck, and the owner of the truck or the driver is like, yeah, we can get you into this for $120. And you're like, yeah, $120 for a screwdriver? I don't know. And then they're like, hey, give me $20 down and pay me $10 a week. And, they tempt you into this, into buying these expensive tools. And before you know it, you're making weekly payments on all these tools, and every week you're looking for something new to buy that you don't really need, and you fall into that trap. So that's kind of why I have two of these snap-on screwdrivers here. So just in case anybody's wondering, the orange one, I actually took that one apart because I was experimenting with removing the shank, and I wanted to see if I could use different shanks with it. And you can, but the problem is the shank would need to have a ball bearing in it. Otherwise, it won't stay in the screwdriver. So it just wasn't designed to have a removable shank. I'm not going to go into that. There's other videos on YouTube you can watch if you want to know how to take apart your snap-on ratcheting screwdriver. I would recommend that you don't take it apart. There's a C-clip that holds it together, and you need a really small pair of angled needle nose pliers to manipulate that clip. And my screwdrivers are so old that the clip was brittle and it broke, so I've got to get a rebuild kit to put it back together. So if you don't have the proper tools to deal with taking it apart, well, taking it apart is easy. Putting it back together is the problem, because the clip has to sit in this recess, and you've got to hold everything together and manipulate the clip with a very small, specific type of angled pliers, and it is frustrating. So if you don't need to take it apart, don't take it apart. So that's kind of the background. So with the snap-ons, the problem I have with the snap-ons that don't fit my needs anymore is, one, the shank's not removable. Two, there is no organized bit storage for these things. The bits go into a recess and they jiggle around, and when you need a bit, you've got to dump everything out and hunt for the bit you're looking for. So that's a problem. The other problem is this. This is not a good design. I can't tell you how many times I've been using this tool and this is unscrewed and fell off. A screw-on cap that doesn't have any type of lock retention, not a good idea. Newer screwdrivers, you got to press a couple of tabs or something and it pops out, or you pull it out, which it's a much better design. Now, don't get me wrong, these have nice ratcheting mechanisms. And I've had no issues with these. Like I said, I bought these in the mid-90s. This one's never been taken apart. Still working great. You've got some decent knurling right here. It's not too aggressive, but it is there. One thing I will note is the magnets in these. They are sufficient to hold a bit in, but many times I've been doing something and I go to pull this out and the bit stays in with the screw. So these magnets could be way stronger. But you know, we can chalk that up to probably mid-90s technology, I guess. So this particular snap-on, well, obviously this is not ratcheting. It has bit storage the same way. You put the bits in there. There's no bit organization. I also have a stubby like this one also. I don't know where it is right now, but I do have a stubby like this one as well. Same thing with this magnet. It is sufficient, but not that strong. So anyway, so that's a background there. And let's move the snap-ons out of the way. So all right, so let's move on. Let's talk about this 27-in-1 Milwaukee. So what I've done for the last 2 weeks is watch every video I can find on different ratcheting screwdrivers, bit holding screwdrivers. And I've looked at everybody's videos and everybody's reviews and all of the extensive testing, which I think a lot of this testing is a bit obsessive. You know, this is a ratcheting screwdriver, and yeah, this doesn't sound as good as the snap-on. I'm not going to get that granular into talking about a screwdriver. I find that kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. If it works, it works. Yes, I know the back drag is an issue with some of these screwdrivers, and I know the Milwaukee doesn't rate very high when it comes to back drag. But you know, I've been using this screwdriver. I don't have any problems with it. I mean, it's not like I use it and then I'm like, oh, I wish it was like the snap-on. I really don't notice a problem. I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound as smooth, but it works and I don't have a problem with it. But, you know, I looked at Wera, I think that's the name of the company, Wera, W-E-R-A, LTT, the DeWalt. I've looked at so many, the Amazon Basics, SK. I've looked at everything. I've looked at all the videos I can come up with. Klein, and the main problem is it's very few of these ratcheting bit screwdrivers meet my criteria. So what was my established criteria? 1, ratcheting. 2, organized bit storage. 3, removable shank that's held in with a magnet. Oh boy, I tell you, trying to just meet those 3 criterias on a bit screwdriver is very difficult. The Weras, that's how you pronounce it, W-E-R-A, they don't have one. Klein doesn't have one. You know, the DeWalt doesn't have one. Not that the DeWalt's a great one, but they don't. And I don't understand it. Wera and Klein want to give you a collet that you can adjust the length of the shank. I don't honestly rate that as an important criteria. So because of that, you get a collet that you can pull down and slide the shank back and forth. And then you get bit storage, but you don't get ratcheting. And to me, that's a stupid design. So it's like, what's going through their minds? Who absolutely would prefer an adjustable length shank over ratcheting and bit storage? It doesn't make any sense to me. So if you look at the Klein, If you jump up to a ratcheting Klein, you don't get bit storage. It doesn't make any sense. So, I'm not going to claim that I'm a bit screwdriver expert, but, when I'm looking for versatility, I just don't see it. I don't see it in those products. It's like I have to give up something. I have to give up bit storage or I have to give up ratcheting, and that's not acceptable because I have bit storage and I have ratcheting with the Snap-on. So why should I have to give that up? So I've looked at quite a few different products. The Amazon Basics has got one, a screwdriver similar to this. I didn't try it, but I looked at it and it's like, okay, that one's also OEM by several other companies as well as SK. And okay, it's not that great. It looked to me that the Amazon Basics shank, which is removable, has a ball bearing for retention. That's a deal breaker. Now I could be wrong on that, but that was what I came up with. Some of the other inexpensive Chinese-made products that have removable shanks, they all use a ball detent. That's not acceptable to me. That's proprietary. I don't want it. Mainly because if I want to use, okay, so I got this Klein flip socket. I got this one, and I got this 3-inch one right here. These don't have ball bearing detents on them. It's just got a regular shank end on it. So these are not going to work on those types of screwdrivers. So for multiple flexibility, I want to be able to use this with this. And also, if I want to, I can use this. Now this is a Milwaukee bit extension here. And let's get that out of the way. This, I thought originally this Milwaukee had a really strong magnet in it, but it actually has, on the inside, it has like a little metal, I don't know what to call it, a little metal frame that your bit goes through, and then there's a magnet in there. This has got excellent bit retention. I love this. This design I would love to see in a screwdriver, where not only do you have a magnet for bit retention, but you have this little metal frame. And there's probably no way we can view that with the camera, because the camera's not going to want to focus on it because it's dumb. But anyway, there's a little metal frame in there. If you've got one of these Milwaukee extensions, you can take a look and see that for yourself. So that is actually really nice. So the whole purpose of this video was to talk about this Milwaukee, and of course I'm giving you a lot more background than you probably wanted to sit through. When I talk about let's make this Milwaukee better, one of the things I don't like is proprietary. I don't like proprietary bits or shanks or bits that have a ball bearing in them. Now, if you look at reviews for this 27-in-1 Milwaukee, you're going to see a lot of bad reviews about this thing. And I dissected pretty much everybody's comments, and the number one problem is either the proprietary bits or this shank with this ball bearing. See, this ball bearing is held in with this clip right here, and the ball bearing falls out. On just about every complaint I've seen is the failure of this. According to the Milwaukee packaging, it says right down here, bit holder is power tool ready. Now it doesn't, that's the bit holder, not the bits, and it doesn't say impact tool ready. So first off, this shank with this little ball bearing detent and this double-ended bit, these are trash, okay? These are garbage. We're going to get rid of those. So that's the first thing we're going to do to make this better. We're going to get rid of those. What's the second thing we're going to do? We're going to open up the bit storage, and we're going to get rid of all of these crappy double-ended bits because they're garbage. Garbage bits are consumables, and I don't want to have to go out and hunt for a compatible double-ended bit. I know this is a great concept. Wow, 27 in one. I got all these different bits. Let's be honest. How many of these different types of bits do most people use? Can you not get by with 14 in one? I know I can. These snap-ons, I've gotten by with these since the 90s. And these things only hold, well, depending upon the bit design, they hold 6 or 7 maybe 8. It depends on how much you squeeze in there. I mean, you can force more in there, but, you know, and I've survived. So what are we going to do here with this? Well, we get rid of those proprietary bits, and we load this up with some Milwaukees. Now, these are not, let's see, what do we got? We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 12. And you can see I've got regular standard bits in here. I got 12. We have a rotating carousel, which ideally, I don't like the wobble, but if you're gentle with this, you shouldn't be breaking anything. And this lid rotates, so you don't have the issue of something unscrewing while you're using the screwdriver, and it snaps in and it stays in place. So that's our first fix. Our second fix, obviously, is getting rid of the crappy shank. So you can go out and purchase yourself a shank. I like this setup right here. This is the Milwaukee bit extension, and I've got a longer Milwaukee bit here. This is number 2, right there. That's it. We just made this ratcheting screwdriver 110% better. I love this now. Now, one of the things I've noticed, this has a very strong magnet. Now, I don't have a lot of things to compare this to. Now, I can't compare it to this because, like I mentioned, this has got a little metal retaining ring in there. So this retention is really good. But this takes some force to remove. If we take the snap-on, for example, this is a weak magnet compared to the Milwaukee. That's very obvious. I don't need any type of measurement tools to be able to come to the conclusion that the magnet in the Milwaukee is substantially stronger than in the snap-ons. And that's the same with all 3 of these snap-ons. All 3 of these snap-ons have weak magnets in them. Now, that just could be 90s technology. I don't know. But I'm very happy with how strong that magnet is. Now, the other flexibility I get with this is I can now use the Klein flip sockets. And this is held in, even though it's not locked in, it's held in with a magnet. It ain't going anywhere. The magnet's plenty strong for this. So we've got this. If we go back to this impact, I also have this little 3-inch one right here, which I also like. I haven't decided if I'm going to stick with the Milwaukee or go with the Klein, but I also like this. So I get, you know, I get the 5/16 and the 1/4. And when we talk about the Kleins, one of the things I like about the Kleins, I know Milwaukee has flip sockets and Marco, and there's some there's another company that has these as well. I like this one where the bit is adjustable. So if we want to rock a regular bit, it drops in there. If we want to do 1/4 inch bit driver, you push it down and boom, now you can do 1/4 inch screws. So speaking of magnets, how about let's just give a finger comparison of the magnet on this Klein with this bit compared to now this is using a finger test. These are very close in strength, just using my finger test. It almost seems that the Milwaukee has a stronger magnet in it. Yeah, I think the Milwaukee is a little bit stronger. That's not scientific, but I'm not disappointed with the magnet that's in the Milwaukee. So that is my suggestion for making the Milwaukee, improving the Milwaukee 27-in-1 screwdriver. Of course, now it's more like a 12, 13, 13-in-1, 14-in-1, something like that. It's not a 27-in-1 anymore, but it's a much more usable product. Lastly, I'll just mention that this particular handle is thicker, and I think it's more ergonomic than the Snap-on. The Snap-on is all plastic and it's real narrow. This is not, to me, this is not a real comfortable handle on the Snap-on, and it doesn't have any rubber molding. I know several times I've been out in the rain working on something and this gets wet and it gets slippery. It's not probably a common occurrence, but I have had issues with my hands slipping on this smooth plastic. This has got obviously smooth plastic and it's got rubber over molding. So this is much more grippable and it's thicker, and it's not, it doesn't have these contours. I have to assume these contours is for you to hold it like this this scoop right here is for you to put your thumb and to manipulate it. But I end up having a, I normally hold like this, not so much like this. This, yeah, you could still do it with your thumb, but I just think this is more ergonomic. So I'm real happy with this so far. I don't have a problem with this ratcheting. I've used this quite a bit for 1/4 inch self-tapping screws, Phillips flatheads, and you know, is this Snap-on quality? I don't know, probably not. There's a little bit of wiggle with the shank that's in there, but it's not bad. I mean, if you want to look at the Snap-on. I mean, this is a fixed shank in the Snap-on, and it's got just as much wiggle. So I can't really fault that. We'll have to see if it will survive the test of time. But, you know, it was 20 bucks versus, you know, 120, whatever I paid for this back in the day, which was a lot of money. So anyway, if you have the same criteria when you're looking for a bit driver, this is something to think about. You can take the Milwaukee and you can scrap the garbage components that come with it, add some of your own components, and you've got a very versatile ratcheting bit driver. So not much else I can say about that. I'm very happy with the modifications I've done to this, and now it's a good usable screwdriver. I hope at some point in time, Klein or Wera or one of the other high-end manufacturers, they get with the program and come out with something like this, because I don't understand why they haven't. I mean, I would buy it. I would buy either of them. I'd pay $40, $50, $60 for it. Lastly, I just wanted to mention, yes, I watched a bunch of LTT videos. The Linus Tech, those guys, they made their own ratcheting screwdriver. But, you know, that's I admire what they did. They spent a lot of time, they spent a lot of money, they tried to make the ultimate bit driver. But the LTT is not designed for the types of uses that I need it for. To me, the LTT is more like that Snap-on. Um, and I'm sure it's a great bit driver. I can tell they put a lot of effort into it. They're very meticulous. It's if I was to build a bit driver, I would be just as meticulous, but I would build mine differently. First, LTT, you need to make one with a removable shank, so we can use other shanks with it. It needs to have very strong magnetic retention for the shank. Um, you've got a solid plastic handle. That's a big downer to me. Coming from using a Snap-on for years, you need some rubber overmolding on that. I don't like the proprietary bits you use, but I understand your logic behind that. You built the screwdriver for working on computers. You didn't build it for people like me that have a multitude of other uses for the screwdriver. If you're only using it on a computer, it's fine just the way it is. But if you want to expand your product base, take the ideas from this and make one. I'd buy it. Anyway, this is too fast. I'm going to call it quits. We're at 26 minutes, and this was a big, long rant, but hopefully you got something positive out of it. Catch you in the next video.